Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to our cozy little corner of the internet. I'm Pen and today I'll be reading chapter 8 of Seen and Not Heard by LitaCakes. As always, there will be trigger warnings for this fic, but today will be PTSD, mentions of abuse and verbal abuse and quite a bit of cursing, so hope you guys take care of yourself. But anyway, let's get right into this chapter. Chapter 8, The People Who Hurt You Are the Real Villains. Izuku was a bit surprised when Schroeder had told him he'd be coming to school with them. It made sense once Schroeder explained. The medical staff at school were going to be taking care of him after all, so it made things easier if he could see Hound Dog while on campus. Plus, Izuku felt that after his little episode this morning, neither of his guardians wanted to leave him alone. Izuku didn't want to be left alone either. They drove to campus today instead of walking. "Oh, one last thing, Izuku," Schroeder called out as he was unbuckling his seatbelt. Izuku tilted his head in question. "Since you're going to be going on campus, Nezu said that he'll be giving you those tests in person. Once you finish up with Inoue-san, you can head to his office. Sound good?" Sure, Schroeder, thank you." Schroeder nodded. Mike was already grabbing their bags from the trunk. Izuku brought his laptop bag just in case, and he was glad that he did, since Nezu wanted to give him those tests anyway. "I'll walk you to Inoue's office, Zu." Mike smiled. Sure has some grading to get done before class that he's been ignoring like the bad teacher he is. Ow. Izuku chuckled to himself as Schroeder smacked Mike on the arm with a quirk-filled glare. "Don't make him think I'm a terrible teacher. I was busy, or did you forget? You're half the reason after all." Mike sputtered on his words and coughed, his cheeks bright red as he turned away from his husband with clear indignation. Fuck English, okay. Izuku kept laughing as he pulled up his neck sleeve to cover the bottom half of his scar before they walked onto campus. Once his masks were in place, he felt more comfortable about being out in public, though he was still unsure about therapy. What would he have to talk about? He didn't really want to talk. Did Inoue-san know sign language, or would he be forced to speak? Was this going to be speech therapy too? Izuku scrunched up his eyebrows and quickly grabbed Mike's hand as a comfort item while they walked. Mike didn't say anything, just giving his hand a squeeze as they continued walking. Schroeder waved them off as he parted ways towards the teacher's lounge. Izuku would apparently be seeing them later. Mike led them down the medical wing to a small office near the infirmary with a plaque that read Hound Dog Ryo Inoue on it. Mike knocked gently, Izuku half hiding behind his guardian's leg as they waited. After only a moment, a large man appeared at the door. Izuku knew what to expect from his analysis work, at least in appearance, but he had never seen or heard of the canine hero in an interview, so he wasn't sure what to expect in terms of personality. Inoue-san nodded towards Mike and looked down to find Izuku's green head poking out behind the voice hero's legs. Izuku swore that the man's muzzle smiled. He crouched down to be eye level with Izuku. "Good morning. I've been told you like to be called Izuku. Is that okay?" His voice was rough around the edges but calm and quiet. Izuku decided he liked it. He came out from behind Mike's legs a little and nodded. "Well then, you can call me Ryu." "Ro. Fuck English, okay. Well, fuck Japanese, but still." "It's very nice to meet you, Izuku. Come in, We'll let Mike go off to his classes." Mike looked down, giving his hand another squeeze. "Do you want me to stay, Zu?" Izuku shook his head. "No, it's okay. Thank you, Mike. I think I like Inoue-san. He seems safe." He also didn't want to keep the man from his job, so he would suck up his fears, even the few that remained rattling in his chest. "Alright, Inoue-san will show you to Nezu's office once you're done, and after that you'll come to the teachers' lounge for lunch with us. The other teachers have been excited to meet you. Have a good session, you two." Izuku dropped his guardian's hand and nodded as he waved. Inui opened the door wider and let Izuku into the office before shutting the door behind them. It was actually more spacious than he would have expected from the look of the door. There was a big desk with a comfy-looking chair behind it. A big space on the floor with a few beanbags, a large coffee table, and a couch and a few chairs off to the far wall. There were shelves with all kinds of toys and art supplies, as well as games and even snacks on one shelf. Izuku blinked a few times. "Take a seat anywhere you want. Oh, and don't feel forced to speak. I read sign language. Most of the teachers here do as well, since we have all kinds of students who come through our school. Plus, we do have staff members with hearing issues too. We kind of are a big family here, so it helps if we can all communicate." That made sense. He'd noticed over the last couple of days that Mike played with something in his ear in the morning, and Izuku wondered if maybe he had hearing aids. He did have a voice quirk after all, so one that could deafen people, so maybe he was deaf as well. That would explain how he learnt sign language and why Schroeder said his husband was why he knew it too. Will you do my speech therapy or just my head therapy?" "Both, if you're comfortable with it. But I figured maybe we'd have a few sessions before we get into speech therapy. I actually wanted to discuss your muteness before we started working on it. Is that okay?" Izuku nodded, finally moving across the room to the couch so he could sit. He shook his shoes off and curled up in a pretzel position on the couch. Inui said to get comfortable, right? Right. Again, he saw that muzzle smile. It might be scary to someone who wasn't used to analysing and pulling apart quirks. Mutant quirks were harder, but he'd seen enough animal quirks to understand base expressions. "Good. So, do you have any questions before we start these sessions? Any concerns or thoughts about the process?" Izuku truly thought about that. He had a ton of concerns, but which ones to bring up first? He sighed, leaning back against the couch and looking up at the ceiling. He signed towards Inui while still looking upwards. "Do I have to talk about everything everyone did to me? Do I have to tell you everything? Do I have to face all the things over and over again just to get past them? Do I have to give you names? Does this all go back to the police or my guardians? Do they have to know everything? I think my muteness might half be because of the scar and half because I'm scared. I don't really understand why I never met anyone as nice as my guardians before now. Do you have the senses of canine or just appearances? Why do you wear a muzzle on your hero suit? I don't like muzzles, they hurt. Oh, wait, I'm rambling about analysis, sorry." He stopped and looked down to find Inui tilting his head a little, a notepad resting on his knee. When had he moved to sit across from Izuku? "Well, let's go in a sort of order. Everything you say to me stays here in confidence. The only exception is that if you plan to hurt yourself or others, those things I have to report. But now, because of the investigation into your biological family, they may ask me questions but I have to ask your permission before sharing any information with them. So you'll know what they're told ahead of time. You don't have to tell me everything or relive your trauma. We can just talk in vague terms if you prefer." Inui made a few notes before continuing on. "Unfortunately, there's a lot of places in our society where bubbles of discrimination exist, especially when it comes to quirkless people. It's cruel and archaic. Everyone should be valued equally. We're all human, despite our quirks or lack thereof. But you're here now. But you are you are now out of that bubble of cruelty. And I hope you feel comfortable letting us know if you have any concerns going forward. Izuku nodded. He did feel safe here, with his new guardians, and even with Nezu as his soon-to-be teacher. I'll leave the stuff about my quirk for a later time. I've been told you've been quite the analytical genius. I wouldn't want to take up your time with my quirk. Izuku tilted his head. My time? He asked. Yes, these sessions are for your benefit. For your benefit. So, it's your time. Now, if you really want to spend an hour talking about my quirk, we can. But I don't think that will benefit your therapy journey all that much. Besides, you can always convince Nezu to let you do an analysis on me for course credit work instead. Inoue winked as if he just shared a big secret. Izuku smirked behind his mask and nodded energetically. That was a good idea. Okay, so before we go forward, usually when I start these sessions, I ask how you're feeling, what's on your mind, and general emotions over the past couple of days. Take all the time you need. I know that the last week has been quite hectic for you. There has been a lot. I mean, I feel safe. I feel safe for the first time probably ever, you know. Izuku felt himself getting a bit more energized, his arms and chest taking part of his speaking. I never expected Kachan to say what he did, to tell me to jump off the roof, and then I snapped at a race head that night during patrol and broke down in his arms in the police station. And then I came home with them, and I've been feeling great for the first time in years. I woke up feeling comfortable and well rested, and then I got smacked with a bad memory of Inko yelling at me. But Mike was there, and he hugged me, and I felt so safe. I feel so confused a lot of the time, but I'm so also excited to learn and start this new life, I guess. So, you'd say your mood has improved since leaving your previous situation? Yes, that is an understatement. I mean, I'm still scared a lot, and I'm worried about a whole list of things. And it feels weird being in someone else's house but not following the rules I've been forced to follow all my life. But Shoto and Mike never hesitate to remind me I'm okay and reassure me when I'm scared, confused or scared. But I know I'm safe here with them. I trust them. So yeah, my mood has improved a lot. Do you have any desire to hurt yourself? You did mention that fellow student told you to jump off a roof. Can you talk about that a little more? Well, Kachan's always been kind of violent and loud. I think it's because of his quirk. Anyway, the teacher told the class who applied to high schools, and I've been meaning to cancel my UA application, but my teacher still told everyone that I applied. Kachan freaked out. When the teacher left, he told me, if you want to be a hero so badly, there's an easier way, Deku. Pray for a quirk in your next life and take a swan dive off the roof. I snapped, shoved my desk out of the way, and called him a villain in sign language. I'm pretty sure that no one knows it. No one I know knows it. But Kachan snapped back, so maybe he did know? Anyway, he grabbed my neck mask and I panicked. I flipped him over my shoulder. I told him if he didn't tell anyone that I wouldn't tell him he baited me, and that I would retract my UA application. But I guess I sort of just vanished from school, huh? Inoue was taking notes the whole time Izuku spoke. He did wonder what the man was writing, but maybe it was better if he didn't know. Can you explain your reaction a little more? Did his words make you sad? Angry? What do you think made you snap, as you put it? Izuku pursed his lips a little as he played with the hem of his shirt before addressing Inoue's question. Well, I know I've been on and off depressed for a long time. I debated doing exactly what Kachan said plenty of times, just stepping off a roof. It'd be easy, I guess. Then all the pain and hatred would stop, but I still wanted to make a difference in the world. I think what made me react was just Kachan made me react was just Kachan was always said he would be the best hero, the number one hero. But how can he be the number one hero if he's putting down the exact people he's meant to be saving? He'd never be a hero if that incident had been reported. Granted, it wouldn't have been reported, even with my threats to him. That school didn't care. They wanted me out of the picture. I was an annoyance to them. Izuku sighed. Anyway, what he did to me made me feel like what a villain would do. It made me angry. I guess I was just finally tired of being seen as less than, being hated for something entirely out of my control. I was tired of being made into a villain when the people who hurt me were the real villains. That's a really good way to look at it, Izuku. Those people who hurt you were wrong, and they will face the consequences. Believe me, Nezu is already on the warpath, and he won't stop until every single person is held accountable. You seem to have faith in this Kachan fellow. Well, yeah, he has the potential to become a great hero. His quirk is amazing, and he's strong. We were best friends when we were little kids. I know how he can be a great hero, but somewhere along the way he changed. The adults poisoned his mind. If he can have direction, guidance, he can grow. I hope my words got through to him. Maybe he did understand my signing when I called him a villain. Maybe that one sentence was enough to make him want to change. I have some faith. Some. What would you say to him if you saw him again? Izuku chuckled, the sound almost like a tinkling of a wind chime, thanks to his broken vocal cords. I'd say he has a long way to go to make up for what he did, but it's not an impossible road. He has to be willing to walk it himself. That's where he might stumble. Even despite all he said to me, I'd still offer out a hand. Because I know what it's like to never have a small light in that darkness. To never have a hero save you when you need it the most. So I guess I'd tell him that if he didn't want it, I'd be the hero he needed. That's really brave, Izuku. Brave? Yes, a lot of people say they want their revenge on their abusers, or even for them to disappear or fail in life, even if they didn't ever get their revenge. Or they'd just say they never want to see them again. But you want to show him kindness, compassion. You want to give him things you were never given. That's truly honourable and truly brave. Oh, Izuku mumbled, putting a thumb to his lips under his mask. He didn't see Inui's smile this time. Well, I just want to help everyone I can. Everyone deserves to get saved. It might take longer for some people. It took a while for anyone to save me, but even so, my heroes came, and I want to be that hero for someone else. Inui nodded, taking a few more notes, and checked the clock on the wall. Well, that's all the time we have for now. But we made good progress today. For now, you'll be doing 2 days. You're set up for 2 days a week, but once school starts, it'll be once a week. I'll see you Wednesday. Izuku nodded, hopping down off the couch and putting his shoes back on. Good. Let's head you over to Nezu. I'm trying to remember how I did my Nezu voice. Izuku! Nope. Izuku. There we go. Came the chipper call of the Chimera principal from behind a large desk. Izuku offered a polite wave to Inui-san as he left the office. Despite how crazy he had determined Nezu was, Izuku didn't feel any concern as he walked across the office to plop into one of the chairs in front of the creature's desk. Good morning, Nezu. It's good to see you here, Izuku. I hope your therapy session went well. But now, let's get down to business. I hope you're ready. These tests won't be easy. I want to do your very best. We'll start with all the major general education course today, and that will be your test out of middle school, and some information to me on where I need to place you. Then you'll do more advanced tests with me tomorrow on the courses I'll be giving you. Okay, I'm ready. Izuku was trying to keep himself excited over this. He could do this. He'd give his best, at least. Well, he had been excited until the mouse bear decided to give him these impossible tests. Some of these questions made no sense. Izuku glared at the page like it was insulting him. It was insulting his intelligence, at least. Of course, he had to choose going with the science test first. Science wasn't his best subject. He wanted to get it out of the way. I see you might be struggling. Let me give you some advice. God, my Nezu's voice is just terrible. Izuku looked up to Nezu with pleading eyes. It made the principal laugh. Don't think too hard. I know it seems counterproductive, but you either know the answer or you don't. Don't try to force your mind to conjure up something. It won't help at all. So, I always recommend going through a test 3 times. The first time, answer any question you can recall a response for in less than a minute. The second time, you'll answer any other ones you can recall in under 3 minutes. Then, whatever's last, try to answer or give your best guess. By then, you usually have gotten it down to a few questions anyway. Izuku watched the principal typing away at his computer while he spoke, silently wondering how the Chimera could dual focus like that. Maybe it was a part of his quirk? Once he put Nezu's plan in place, he was speeding through the tests. It was just so much more efficient to do things that way. Nezu was right. Izuku had a feeling that the rat was right about a lot of things and that he was used to the smugness of being right. Either way, it helped. Izuku had finished all the general education course tests about 30 minutes before it was time for lunch, which was more than enough time for Nezu to grade them, apparently. Izuku assumed it was that having a stupidly high quirk might aid in grading papers just a little. Excellent! You placed in the top percentile for just about everything, though your science scores were a bit lower than your other tests. But I think we both expected that. Izuku blushed, giving a faint shrug. It's not my best subject. That's fine. We can't all be perfect at everything. Despite my IQ, I'm terrible at literature. Sure, I could pass a college essay with a low A or high B, but compared to my science scores, oh, it's pitiful. Izuku snorted. Well, I think you're some awesome principal, poor literature scores or not. Why, thank you, Izuku. Nezu reached over the desk and patted his head. The feeling was comforting. He liked it. Now then, I have more than enough to qualify you for your middle school certificate and get you registered for my adjunct student. Congratulations, Izuku. He tugged out a piece of paper and signed it before handing it over to Izuku. The paper was thick and high quality. At the top read congratulations in large letters with your acceptance UA high in smaller letters after that. Izuku's face brightened, his whole body going pin straight in shock. You're officially UA students starting in our next term in a little under 8 months. Now then, let's go over a couple of things before I send you to lunch with your guardians. Izuku's eyes were laden with books as he stumbled over to the teacher's lounge, which was actually just down the hall from Nezu's office. He knocked, since he couldn't actually see anything behind a stack of books. It took a moment of shuffling sounds for the door to slide open. Izuku couldn't see who had answered, but until he peeked around to find a rather tall and bulky man in a red and black hero suit. He recognized the man as Vlad King. The two stared each other down for a while before someone called out to the hero at the door. "Who is it, Sekijiro?" Not sure," he called back into the room, turning back to Izuku. "Which teacher are you looking for, kid?" Izuku visibly winced at the word kid, but tried not to let it affect him too much. Sadly, he didn't have a hand to sign with right now. That was a problem. Izuku's eyebrows scrunched up a little as he looked around the corner of the door to try to find someone familiar in the room. When he did, he pointed towards Shota, who was sitting at his desk with his back towards the door. The combination of his black hair and grey capture scarf signature to his look. But Izuku liked to think that he could recognize a man based on poor posture anywhere. Based on the man's poor posture anyway. "Aizawa, the kid's here for you," King said, making Izuku wince. The man's eyes zeroed on that, seemingly ready to ask when Shota interrupted. "What kid? Izuku?" He quickly corrected himself. Izuku sighed, glad he remembered. "Sekijiro, this is Izuku, the one that Mike and I are watching over. Please don't call him kid. He doesn't like that." "Sorry, Izuku." Sekijiro bowed his head. Izuku bowed back. He hoisted the books a little and gave Shota a "please help" look. Shota blinked, confused for a moment, before realizing Izuku couldn't speak with his hands full, then jerked forward to take some of the books from the stack. "Sorry, Nezu's already got you stocked up, right? Nezu's already got you stocked up. It's 8 months before the new term." Once the books were down on Shota's desk, Izuku sighed in relief from the weight and nodded. "Yeah, he wants me to read these before the new term. I think there's a few in here I've already read, though." "Seriously?" Vlad came over to look through the stack, picking up the top one and inspecting it. "These are all higher education and college level books." "Yeah, I went to the library a lot when I was younger, and wanted to be away from. Well, anyway, I read a lot, and I always had an interesting quirk analysis." Izuku quickly picked up the stack that he carried and set it on the floor, then the stack Shota had carried right after, lastly propping himself on the ground, ready to go through the books he had picked out, to pick out the ones he already read so he could give them a quick glance but not completely reread them. Izuku's a lot like Nezu's, Sekijiro. "Speaking of which, I see he already gave you your acceptance letter without telling Mike and I. That damn rat." Izuku looked up with 3 books in his arms and smiled behind his mask. He bounced in his place on the ground, entirely giddy from the experience. Shota smiled right back and read over his acceptance letter with raised eyebrows. "Your scores are impressive, Izuku." He was sure Shota would have continued if Mike hadn't burst through the door while calling Izuku's name. "Zoo!" Shota's eyes flashed, cancelling Mike's quirk before it got any louder. "There's my little listener. How was your testing?" Shota interjected himself back in. "As I was saying, Izuku's test scores are impressive, and the rat already gave him his acceptance letter. The letter was handed to Mike, who positively squealed. Izuku was chuckling to himself at his guardian's antics. He took a moment to look around before several pairs of eyes were on him from around the room. He blinked, waving dumbly to the other teachers. "Oh, sorry, Izuku. Let me introduce you to the team. You already met Sekijiro, but then there's Ectoplasm. Remind me to send you Izuku's analysis later on. Then 13, Recovery Girl, Majima, Ishiyama, Lunch Rush, Kayama, and Snipe." Izuku noted how he sometimes used hero names instead of their civilian names. Perhaps that's what they preferred to be called. Everyone, this is Izuku. Please only use his name when addressing to him. He mainly speaks in sign, so if anyone needs help, ask Mike. Hey, you speak sign too, Sho. Yeah, but I'm usually napping. I think they're all too scared to disturb my naps. Rightfully so. He has a point, Kayama added, Izuku recognizing her as Midnight, the X-rated hero. Did you forget to tell him about the new teacher coming in next year? If he's a big heroic fan as he claimed, Mike, he might be interested, Ishiyama suggested. Izuku perked up. What hero's coming to teach here? More than a few staff chuckled as he said quietly. Izuku ignored them. Shota smirked but hid it in his capture scarf. Mike laughed openly, the friendly type of laugh that would make you want to giggle along with him. Well, Zu, we have a special teacher appearance, the number one himself, All Might. Reality smacked Izuku so hard that he stumbled to the side and had to grab the desk for support. Do you think I can become a hero without a power? Do I think you can become a hero without a power? No, perhaps your dreams ought to be more realistic, my boy. Izuku's jaw clenched, his fingers gripping the desk so tight that his knuckles turned white. Why? Why did it have to be people who hurt him? Why did he have to endure the cruel quirkism from even the people who were supposed to protect him? Would Mike and Shredder agree with All Might once they found out he had denied Izuku's dreams? No. Izuku didn't think so. Izuku didn't think so, but he was too scared that maybe they would. He hadn't even thought about that conversation with All Might was a big deal when it happened. It was just another blow to his already crushed heart. So why did it make him want to cry now? Izuku? Shredder asked, but all Izuku heard was, my boy. He shoved himself off the desk and backed away, clutching his hand at his chest with wide green eyes looked around him, trying to find the offender of who dared use that word. Every eye that met him was worried and confused. He could see the way Mike was looking at him. It was the same look from back in the police station as he told him how similar his name was to Izuku's biological father's name. It was a mixed bag of sorrow, confusion, and regret. Why did he regret saying All Might's name? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to panic. Izuku? Shredder tried again. This time Izuku heard his name right. Shredder came over and knelt down beside him, offering out a hand. Izuku shook his head, so Shredder dropped his hand. He wasn't sure he could handle being touched right now, and Shredder seemed to accept that. Remember what we talked about? When you're confused or scared, you need to talk to us so we can correct the problem. Do you want to go into the conference room and talk privately? Izuku nodded and turned to Mike and then back to Shota. Both guardians nodded and headed for the door, leading him out to the conference room where they could speak. He didn't look back at the very likely confused and worried teachers they left behind. Okay everyone, that was chapter 8 of Seen and Not Heard by LitaCakes. I hope you all enjoyed that. Make sure to take care of yourselves because I want you to take care of yourself. It is the weekend, so make sure to relax, and I'll see you all later. Bye!